The NHL will hate what the Leafs are about to do as we have multiple huge updates to go over today. And as we inch closer and closer to the regular season, Craig Berube has come out and revealed the truth behind a lot of these players and the impact they're going to have next season. But not only that, we have a couple of key updates we have yet to hear that has us very intrigued. We're going to break that down as well as a few other interesting things on this episode, folks. Before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Leafs content. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. There's a lot to go over today, and this is an interesting one because Craig Berube spoke out again, and this time he's spoken out about some players we have yet to hear about, at least in depth, from Craig Berube. We know he spoke out last time a little bit on Austin Matthews, the Mitch Marner situation. We're going to pivot now into players who we haven't spoken about too much on the channel, but it is John Tavares and one other player as well. You're going to want to stay tuned till the end for. But Tavares obviously signed that extension early on in this offseason. And since then, on his front, I mean, it's been pretty quiet because that's the way that John Tavares is. He gets his work done behind the scenes at a very, at his own pace. Now, you can see this here. He says he's very happy, Craig Berube that is, that the Maple Leafs re-signed John Tavares, calling him a great guy, a great teammate, and a great leader. And let's dive right into it here. Very happy. Johnny is a pro, in my opinion, with the way that he prepares. He's basically as good of a pro as you can find. He's a great team guy, teammate, and leader. I didn't see any signs of him slowing down last year. And this is something that a lot of people aren't really talking about is if John Tavares has a year even similar to last year, the Leafs are in a very good spot. Now you could flip it on the other side and say that he is aging. Darius, this is good to hear, and it's great to know that he is as healthy as ever. And it seems that Craig Berube is going to find probably more ways to utilize John Tavares.
Definitely, and he's going to have to, right? A lot of these guys, their roles are going to change this season. Not necessarily in a big way, but they're going to have to take on a little bit more responsibility. And I think John Tavares, everyone's feeling really good heading into next season with John Tavares. He took a significant pay cut for what he's worth on the open market, probably like half. He's making only half of what he's actually worth. He scored 38 goals last year, and he was very consistent throughout the year. But the one thing that really surprised me is he got better as the year got on, I thought. And even in the playoffs, he scored a couple of goals. He was playing well. Like in the playoffs, there was never a moment where you're like, man, John Tavares looks awful tonight. He's just always there doing his thing and playing well, right? So heading into this year, I'm expecting more of the same. I think he's going to be really good for the next couple of years. Still, obviously, the Leafs will lock them up, till he's in his, mid to late 30s at this point. I don't see any signs of him slowing down. We've seen other generational talents like Sidney Crosby not slow down even at 38 years old. So I think John Tavares is going to be great for a while still. Is he going to be a second line center for the next couple of years? This year he's going to be, right? But I think the Leafs have to start thinking about that. But he's still going to be a great player and elite at what he does. So I think that's good news for the Leafs. Again, he's a leader. He's been the captain of this team. The fact that the leadership kind of hand off to Austin Matthews with the captaincy was done as gracefully and as classy as it was speaks volumes to the type of person that John Tavares is and that everything is kind of quiet around him. But yeah, he's going to come in, try to have another great year with the Leafs. He's one of the best faceoff guys in the entire league as well. Notice that even in a time where the Leafs need a goal, it's not Austin Matthews taking the draw. It is John Tavares because he is one of the best. So I'm excited to see what he does again this year. Is he going to get 38 again? I don't know. I think it's possible. He's going to be playing with maybe Michelli on the second line with William Nylander. So anything's possible at this point. He's going to be playing on the power play, I would assume, as well. So should be exciting to see what John Tavares does. And one underrated thing about Tavares, even at his age too, he stays healthy. He stays healthy, and I think he's going to do the same this year.
Yeah, and he produced last year very, very well. And let us know down below your projected, or I guess your estimate for his stat lines, goals and assists and total points. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Will he do better than last year? That would obviously be more difficult, but at the same time, he does have probably more free reign here now that Mitch Marner is gone. I might even have to take on a bigger role than last year, as crazy as that sounds given his age. But Craig Berube has full faith in him, and I think his master plan is going to get executed here. But not only that, let's speak on the guy who actually arguably has the, he obviously has to play a lot better than last year, but he might have a bigger role as it pertains to this team going far next year. You can see here, Leafs head coach Craig Berube on Morgan Rielly last season, and if the Leafs need more out of him. Yeah, we do. Again, the offensive side of things started to come later in the season. He wanted to focus on the defensive side of things and be a better defensive player who was more physical and reliable back there. Maybe we took his instincts away from him a little bit. They started to come back. And it's true, he played a little bit better towards the end of the year, but like for the first 3 quarters of the season, he was not good offensively. He was even worse defensively, turning over pucks. It was over. You could tell he was thinking where he was going to pass before passing every single time, which led to being too slow, tons of turnovers. he is going to be, I guess, the X factor. Now, speaking of that, he said, I'll tell you this, Morgan had a hell of a summer. He looks great. He is in great shape. I don't know if it is the best shape he's ever been in, but I think it is pretty close. He took it to heart last year. He wasn't happy with this season, and he put in some great work. And we'll have a full video covering Morgan Rielly here at some point before the season starts, because there's a lot more we can dive into than just, of course, this. But Darius, this is what, if I think people should be pretty aware of the fact that if Morgan Rielly has a big bounce back year, like, you could argue that this is the best blue line in the NHL. If he has a really, really good year, huge task. He hasn't been good for a couple years, at least good in the sense of the level we know he can play at. But according to Berube, he's had a very good summer and is ready, about as ready as anyone for the regular season.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think Morgan Rielly is going to have a bounce back year next year. What that looks like offensively, I don't know. I think it has to be better than last year. And the other thing that I do know is, Mitch Marner's gone now. So Morgan Rielly, to me, has to play on the power play. You need, first of all, a defenseman on the power play, at least one, I think. I think the 5-forward thing doesn't work anymore, especially with the personnel left on the team. You have Morgan Rielly there. It makes more sense in terms of how much money he makes. If you have a player making $7.5 million, all he does is play 5-on-5 and maybe some penalty kill time. It doesn't make sense to me. So he should have a bigger role on the power play moving forward, given that opportunity. And like you can see here from Berube, he took a lot of that to heart. And I believe that guys like Tavares and Rielly, they've said it before, like, they take this stuff very seriously and they take a lot of the losses to heart. So you put in the work in the off season. He had a kid last year too. We saw what that did to, John Tavares this season a couple years ago, Simone Benoit, right? It does somewhat have an effect. So I'm excited to see what he does this season. I think he's going to be able to bounce back. And don't discredit the Brandon Carlo effect, having him there from the start of the season and through training camp as well, getting acclimated with each other, different systems, stuff like that. Because once Carlo came in, they weren't great together. There was a lot of really bad defensive breakdowns, that's for sure still. But I think Rielly was better both offensively and defensively than he was earlier in the season. It wasn't a great season for him overall, but you saw signs where, like, okay, I think we have something here. And Rielly's never had a really good defense partner or a guy that's been with him for more than a season or two at any point, right? So now he has Brandon Carlo. I'm excited to see what he does. But we also have some other updates from, some training camps going on, some rookie camps, and some interesting quotes from some of the rookies and defensemen as well.
Yeah, let's not blow your thoughts on those updates regarding the the big league team, the NHL team. Let's dive into a couple other things now. Ben Danford recently spoke out on the prospect camp and how he's feeling about everything, and he said he wants to put himself in a really good spot this training camp. I mean, as he would. That's a pretty obvious comment. But Easton Cowan says he wants to focus on defense first, and the offense will come, which is very intriguing because, it makes sense. Now, obviously, he needs to be good offensively, but we've seen, players who are irresponsible defensively under Craig Berube don't get played. And we've seen that a lot with Nick Robertson. He's known for taking really bad penalties and high stickings and all these different things, which cost them in the regular season and the playoffs. And their lines now ahead of the prospect showdown, they have a pretty good team. And a lot of these guys, Noah Chadwick, we've talked about him, Tiamov, Ben Danford, Easton Cowan, Jacob Quillen, all these different guys, a lot of other ones as well, Miroslav Holinka. It's going to be pretty fun to watch and keep track of. And of course, we'll keep you up to date there. But like I mentioned, and we mentioned the video yesterday, the day before, they need to, specifically Easton Cowan, if he wants to make this team, it all starts with this prospect showdown.
Absolutely. He has to be dominant offensively, but I like that quote about him, paying attention to detail on the defensive side of the puck first, and then having that translate to offense, because the skills are there. He's going to be able to score, right? Like that's always been there. That's his game. But if he takes care of the puck, he's responsible. He knows where to be in the defensive zone, in the neutral zone, in all three zones. The coaching staff and management are going to take notice of that. And you have to be responsible to play in the NHL, right? So if he's able to do that, he will make this team. And I also like that quote about his mind being free right now, because, he can't put too many expectations on himself where I have to score this many goals in this game or anything like that. Play the game the right way. Your skill will shine through. You are the player that you are. And then, hopefully it turns into domination in this prospect tournament, and we'll see what happens in training camp. But I think he's got the right mindset heading in for what the Leafs are looking for, because you can't cheat the game, and you can't cheat in general, but especially with this Leafs front office and coaching staff, because they need guys who are responsible in all three zones, because that's what they're looking for. And they know that they have the skill in the lineup to be able to score still. So I like the mindset.
Yeah. Let us know down below what your thoughts are. Who's the most exciting prospect for you? There's a lot of them. Easton Cowan obviously is the one that's in the kind of most of your minds, I would assume, because of the fact that he's probably the closest. Keep an eye out on Ben Danford as well here. Also a first-round pick the year after Easton Cowan. And injuries last year took a toll on him, but he could he's prone for a breakout this year, and then into 2027 could be a very useful asset. But folks, a lot of things are starting to pick up now. We're finally nearing the time of actual news from the camps and news, of course, for the regular season starting. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Keep you guys up to date.